Our life is a story, and if you don't feel that way about your life, let me take a couple minutes here to convince you why it's so important to think about it that way. When I was younger, in my high school career, in my college career, dude, I spent a lot of time wasting time. I spent a lot of time chilling. And someone once said to me, there's no such thing as wasting time. And to some degree, I still love that person, that version of myself that was sitting there getting stoned, watching videos, playing video games, going and hanging out with my friends. Like, I still love that part of me. But I know that part of me, and I knew at the time that part of me could not be me always. I needed to take on a certain amount of responsibility. I needed to take on a certain amount of difficulty, a certain amount of weight that the rest of the world isn't capable of putting on me. And how did I figure out how to do that? What does it matter? Why did I decide to start changing? The reality is my life is a story, right? I am the main character of my life. And if I want to see interesting things, if I want to experience interesting things, it's up to me in terms of where I go and find those things. Most of the time, when we are in a scenario where we are on autopilot, we're gonna miss beautiful moments in life. We're gonna miss our ability to actually affect the world around us, and we're gonna miss mostly the memories. Being able to look back and be like, remember that time that I put in a little bit extra effort and that shit turned out crazy? Like, I remember, climbing that train, or I remember lighting that fire in that hole and blowing up my face. You know what I mean? Like, those are memories. We were protagonists in those moments, and we said to ourselves, okay, this is something interesting I want to do. Boom, I did it, and guess what? I feel better about it. Action in life compounds. It keeps going, it keeps going. And we have to figure out what type of actions we're willing to take, right? That comes down to, oftentimes in books and stories, right? What does a protagonist have? They often have some sort of skill, some sort of quirkiness. They have a uniqueness about them, but they're called into action from a situation, a circumstance that's not all that ordinary to them, right? Their village burns down. There's some old person that comes up to them and says, "You have the power," right? You have the power. The thing is, how do we trigger that moment in ourselves, right? When the external world isn't giving us that, how can we trigger that to make it so that we find enjoyment and excitement and actually moving and changing? We have to take the action. We have to take the risk of creating a journey. The beautiful part about my life that I've really enjoyed so far is the ability that I've had to move so much. I've had to change locations. I was born in Pakistan, I went to Canada, I went to California, I moved all over the United States. Almost every 2 years I was in a different location. And what that forced me to think about is, what are the variables that are constant? Who is Turab, right? All these people, my school systems, my housing, everything's changing. My mother's doing different things. My brother's changing. I don't know, who am I? But the cool part about it was every single time I moved, I got to reinvent myself. And perhaps you feel like you don't have that luxury. Perhaps you feel like, you've been in the same town your entire life. You've been doing the same stuff. You've been hanging out with the same people your entire life. There is a way to change that, but it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And that's the thing. When it comes down to making our life a story, we need to believe that we have the power to do that we are the protagonist, that we can deal with adverse circumstances and become better through it. And then, when we finally decide that, yes, perhaps I am unique enough, perhaps I do deserve this life, perhaps I want to experience novel things that most people don't experience, then we can start taking the actions. And one of the greatest actions that you can take is to drastically change your environment. If you're in a small town where people think a certain way about you, and your parents are treating you a certain way, your school teachers are treating you a certain way, your job, your workplace is a certain way, and you're fed up with it, move, right? Take the chance to uplift yourself, put yourself in a different circumstance. This is advice that billionaires give. This is advice that many, many successful people have given in their life consistently, because they understand the importance of change. The delta that happens in life, that shows us what we're capable of. It shows us what unique stuff is out there. And hopefully, It proves to us that there's beautiful things anywhere we go. In The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, this guy goes on a ridiculous adventure, right? He goes and explores deserts and he manipulates sandstorms and he does all this crazy, crazy stuff. He ends up in the same location sooner or later. But that location looks different. It feels different, right? It has a different energy about it. That change is what we're looking for in life. If you're still watching this video, there's a very good chance that you're looking for some sort of change in your life. Something that can give you that passion, that inspiration, to have the energy. You know, it's good to capture those light bulb moments. But I encourage you to take action now. I encourage you to not procrastinate on this feeling, to actually make the very most out of it. Take one action now. Go and buy yourself that book. Go and buy yourself that train ticket, the flight. Go ask that girl on a date, you know? Go and do those things that makes life fun. And enjoy it, because it's your story. If you made it to this point in the video, smash that thumbs up button, smash that subscribe button, and throw me a comment. Where in your story are you? You know, where do you want to go? Oh, protagonist, actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself.